It was about 6:45 in the morning. We were eating breakfast at our breakfast counter, and my 6-year-old daughter said, "Daddy, look, that looks like smoke." And sure enough, we looked out over the horizon. There was just a small plume of smoke that was coming up. We didn't think much of it, and my wife checked her phone, and it was just registered that, yeah, there was a small fire, and I think at the time she told me it was like 30 miles away from Paradise. We didn't think much of it, got the kids ready for school, and I took them to school and dropped them off at school. Went into the office at the church. When I was there, it just started getting darker and darker. It felt like it was probably 6 or 7 o'clock at night at 7:30 in the morning. So I called up my wife and said, "I think we need to get the kids out of school and get ready to go." She said, "Yep, go get them." Ran back to school, picked them up. As I was picking them up, though, ash started falling all around my car as I was picking up the kids. We went back to our home. We still weren't sure how bad it was. Then as we were packing up a couple things, thinking we're just going to leave for a couple days and then come back, they started doing mandatory evacuations on the east side of Paradise. We lived on the west side. And it was during that time that my wife said, "We need to get out of here." So we loaded up as much as we could. Then we started the long journey down the hill. Because Paradise is very unique. It only has a couple ways in and a couple ways out. And so we were in gridlock traffic as the smoke around us kept getting thicker and thicker, and there's nowhere to go, there's nothing to do except wait. During that time, my wife and I were saying a whole lot of silent prayers because we wanted to stay calm for our kids, but the longer that we sat in traffic, the worse we knew it was getting. Until eventually, as we were starting to go down the hill, we noticed a spot fire flared up right next to where our house was. And we didn't see our house burn, but we knew it probably wasn't going to make it. Then as we continued down the hill, we saw flames heading up the canyon that we lived on. It was hard to actually sit there and actually watch because we knew it was heading right to where we lived. We felt we were lucky because we were some of the first ones out of Paradise, and it still took us almost an hour to get down the hill from the time we decided that we were going to leave. Once we got down the hill, it was scary. The scene, looking behind us of all the cars coming down the hill, how dark it was. When we got to a sister church that we have there in Chico, neighborhood church, it was an evacuation center for everyone that was evacuating. Told my family, go to Sacramento, and I decided to stay behind and help with the evacuation at the evacuation center there. So my family was on their way to Sacramento, and then I just helped people as they were being evacuated from the fire. We have confirmed that 14 out of our 21 staff have lost their homes, myself included, and we're still waiting on confirmation from 2 other staff members that aren't sure if they did lose their home or they didn't. The remaining ones did get visual confirmation that their houses are safe. Right now, we don't even know where our congregation is. They are literally scattered all over California, surrounding states, and the nation. We've been doing our best to try to get a hold of them in different ways, using social media, email, phone messaging to find out where people are at, but we don't even know right now, and that is the heaviest thing that's on our heart because we're supposed to be caring for these people spiritually and physically, and we're not even sure where they are at this point. I have already started to pray and think about the future. The church, I believe, is going to be central to the rebuilding of the community because as we were talking with some government officials, they let us know that if this community is going to be rebuilt, the faith community is going to have to lead the charge because it's within the faith community that people find hope, they find belonging, they find worth. They told us that if the faith community is willing to spearhead this and be a part of it, the chances of actually rebuilding this community greatly increase. We believe that we will see revival within this community. Physical revival, emotional revival, and spiritual revival.